I think the great thing about this movie is that it's the old-fashioned mystery movie jo hoti hai, in which they reference that the movie looks like a Cluedo game, jo board game hota hai.
Hmm.
And the film is like that, but it's also got a lot of social commentary and all that, which is there if you want to dig deep into it. It's not a film that just works because it has social commentary. It has that, and it's very like interesting as a murder mystery, which is why I think it works for you, even though you don't like find the social commentary there. But as for the social commentary itself, like to me, it's very much like class divide between the house help and the family itself, immigrant experience also, because all the jokes that happen in the film are around her. The people in the family don't know where she's from.
Hi, Dhruv. Welcome to my podcast, which is called Spoiler Alert with me, Cinephile Sanket. So, Dhruv, today we are discussing Ryan Johnson's Knives Out, which he wrote and directed as well. And it stars a huge ensemble of actors. So, we'll also talk about them, the ensemble actors as well. But first of all, the first question is to you. When did you watch this film for the first time ever? And when you watched it, what was your experience like? And when you rewatched it, what was your experience like?
Yeah. So, hi, Sanket. Thank you for inviting me. I've occasionally written comments when you've had sessions with other people on your YouTube channel. It's a privilege to be here. My first experience of watching Knives Out was when it released. I watched it in the cinema. And then I liked it so much that I did rewatch it in the cinema, which is something I don't do it don't do in many cases at all. I think I've only done it with Christopher Nolan films,
Mm.
mostly, but that's also because I don't understand them like on my first watch. But yeah, Knives Out, I loved the first time round. I've loved on a rewatch, and I still love it. I watched it before we were discussing this
Mm.
episode, and I think the great thing about this movie is that it's the old-fashioned mystery movie jo hoti hai, in which they reference that the movie looks like a Cluedo game, jo board game hota hai.
Mm.
And the film is like that, but it's also got a lot of social commentary and all that, which is there if you want to dig deep into it.
Mm.
And it's just very wonderfully made. And again, when you rewatch it, you discover how one moment leads to how one moment is planted in the beginning and then it gets revealed in the end. So when the twist comes, it's not like a cheap thing. Like it feels very earned.
Mm.
And I think that's very rare in like good murder mysteries like this. And I think that's the great thing about this movie.
Mm.
And yeah, well, what was your experience like when you watched it? Or
I would say I also watched this film in the cinemas, but
yeah.
like I was that okay. First, so when this film released in cinemas, I wasn't the first one to watch this film, but
Hmm.
I watched Ford vs Ferrari first because it was remaining, like it was in my backlog, and I thought that okay, this film is getting its praise for its sound editing and all those stuff, so I'll first
Yeah.
watch Ford vs Ferrari. And then
Yeah.
when the hype got killed for Knives Out, and thankfully there was a show in PVR Lower Parel. I still remember
Yeah.
that I went to PVR Lower Parel, and I watched this film. And okay, like I was completely shocked about it because obviously
Hmm.
currently we don't make these kind of, like, people don't make these kind of whodunit thrillers, whodunit dramas as well.
Yeah.
Like I think this recently there's a film called Death in the Nile which was released, but and even it's kind
Okay,
of
I haven't.
an official, I don't know, like they were actually labeling it as a sequel, like
Huh.
the Murder on the Orient Express as a like a
Yeah.
sequel prequel, but
Yeah.
it isn't, because I have read both the novels of it. But like
Hmm.
they both were kind of a very disappointment for me. So like since I
Yeah.
have read both of the novels which were by Agatha Christie, I was like kind of a fan of her work as well. And at that moment, this film just arrives, and I was just blown away by how he
Yeah.
uses all those Hitchcockian elements, and even Chekhov's guns, and even
Yeah.
some elements from Agatha Christie as well. So I was like
Yeah.
blown away by it. Like at the end, people actually, like, I talked to people, okay, how great this film was, but then people told like, oh yeah, he just straight away told that, okay, this happened, that happened. I was like, okay, but still it's
Oh, I have
just
a lot
good.
to say about that. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I have a
Definitely,
lot to say about that. Yeah.
we'll get to it. But like,
Yeah.
I was actually excited, and I was satisfied with this film. And like,
Yeah.
this was the time. I think this was released in Thanksgiving in November. But I think I
The-
remember, as much I can remember, I watched this film in December, which was like just before Christmas. So
mm.
this was kind of a very family kind of a film
It
for
is, yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's about how bad a family is, but yeah, it's a very family film in that sense. I can actually recommend it to people, which is hard to say about a lot of movies I like. So, I showed this to my parents, and they really liked it, which is
Absolutely.
not
Like
something that happens. Yeah,
we
yeah,
talk about family films which are full of love, and like those disputes, and like small disputes,
yeah,
not the major ones, but love
yeah,
and all those, Love Actually, and like kind of
yeah,
family, like wholesome entertainment film. But this is not those kind of film, but it
yeah,
is actually eventually a family film where we can
yeah,
actually say that it's about a family, which is like a we can see it's a like a disconnected family from each
yeah,
other, and like they are actually disconnected with each other. Like
yeah, yeah,
everyone
properly.
is actually like fighting with one another. So
Mm.
like I don't know, like it is a perfect family film according to me. But
I agree. I agree. Yeah,
But you were just saying that, like, I think there were some themes about like there's some social commentary
yeah,
in this films. Like, can you elaborate on that as well? Like, I couldn't
yeah.
get that. Like, like frankly speaking, I didn't think any kind of a this thing
Got it.
social commentary. So, like, can you elaborate
But
on that?
I think that's the good and that's the winning quality about the film. Like, if it's not a film that just works because it has social commentary, it has that, and it's very like interesting as a murder mystery, which is why I think it works for you, even though you don't like find the social commentary there. But as for the social commentary itself, like, to me it's very much like class divide between the house help and the family itself, immigrant experience also, because all the jokes that happen in the film are around her. The people in the family don't know where she's from, and the first opportunity they get, they realize that this the mystery, like the father has decided to give his inheritance to this immigrant. They turn on her and then decide to manipulate her to try and give the inheritance back to them. So very much like American, what a white America would generally do, like if privilege is taken away from them. So again, all that is there. I think it's I don't know how much you said you didn't feel it. I've read some takes said that they felt it was too blunt. So again, it's like for whoever it works in whatever way. But I love it because I think it's ingrained in the story. Like, the story for me doesn't, like, if you just watch the murder mystery, the social themes come from that, rather than, like, he's not going around and shouting them out.
Hmm.
So again, I think one comparison, I like this other film much, not much more. I like this more, but the other comparison is Parasite, I think, in some ways. Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, which and both of them would make a great double bill. One is much darker than the other, but I think they'll be very fun double bills, because both of the films are like really entertaining. But yeah, the social themes more or
And
less
both
on
of
the
the films are
class and
about
everything.
family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a good, and it's mostly set in a house, so or that also. So yeah, a lot of commonalities there. But my point, yeah, whatever you said about the social commentary is more or less class and immigrant experience related. I don't think there's any. It's not a profound movie in any sense. Like it's not going to change the world. But I don't think any film needs to do that. Let's not put the weight of changing the world on movies.
But Dhruv,
Uh,
I was actually quite excited to watch this film like back when it released, because
yeah.
this film was directed and written by the guy who made a Star Wars films. So
The
like
the the least divisive Star Wars films ever
I
made.
don't know, like I have just watched the original trilogy, the George
Oh, you've
Lucas.
not
So
watched the new ones?
yeah, like the
Okay, okay.
Skywalker,
You,
Luke Skywalker saga. I don't know. I don't like. Let's see. Like I don't know, but
it's fine to not watch them now. It's
yeah, yeah.
okay.
I'm not I'm that much excited to watch
Yeah,
those films. But the thing is, this I was excited to watch this because what happens was every Disney or every Warner Bros. Every big budget films, what they do is they hire these kind of small directors, and like who are just established, who are just like come out from their quite independent, quite critically acclaimed independent films, and they just
yeah,
pick those directors, and they just tell them to direct or write or like do make a big budget films. And
yeah,
they kind of like, obviously I like sometimes they do succeed, but they many times they don't, and that's the reason I was
yeah,
excited to watch this, and that's the reason I quite love watching all those directors early works. And I
yeah.
haven't watched Looper as of yet, but I have watched Short Term 12, which was written and directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, with who directed
Yep.
Shang-Chi, the Rebel of the
The
Legends of
yeah,
the
yeah,
Ten
the
Ring.
Legends of the Ring, right? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So I was quite excited to watch all those films as well, and this was one of them, because like
yeah,
this is from the director who made Star Wars, and there are like
yeah,
various directors. I think Maleficent also had a duo director who made like I can't remember the name
yeah.
of the directors, but
I
like yeah, that
yeah.
they those both directors were Danish director, and they
Okay,
directed a film called Kon-Tiki in Danish, and it was nominated
okay.
in the Oscars. So
Oh,
like
okay.
that's
I
the
have no
reason I
idea
was
about
like
this.
excited to just watch this, because they like always excited to watch their early work. Then that's the reason I watched that film as well, and this film as
Yeah,
well. So and
it's
even
fun. Then you're getting a sequel this year or next year of Knives Out. So
yeah, I
yeah,
was about to come to that, but yeah, let's obviously come to that a bit later. But I
later.
was
Yes.
also
Yeah.
excited to
Yeah.
and also I was actually excited to see Chris Evans, and even this thing like uh, uh James Bond, Daniel Craig to
Daniel
be
Craig.
on
Yes.
on like Captain America
Yeah.
and James Bond in one frame, and I was just
Yeah.
too excited to watch that, because at the same year in the same year 2019, in May 2019 or April,
Yeah.
Endgame was released, and like it was announced that okay, this will be the last appearance of Chris Evans
Christian.
as Captain America. So I was like, okay, like let's see how this thing pans out, like how
Yeah.
this all those like what roles, which kind of what kind of roles does Chris Evans do. So
Yeah.
let's see. So the first role was this film, so I was quite
Yeah.
excited, and like I just loved him just being
Yeah.
not being Captain America in a very
It's
few
the flip
movies.
opposite, right? It's basically the
Exactly.
opposite.
Yeah,
He's
he was being
like
naive.
really cruel and like everything in this. But yeah, that like we can discuss the performances now because I think those are also like a big sell for me also. Like I love Chris Evans in this. He's having a blast, which I think most of the cast are having a blast. Like I think they're really performing, like they're performing their characters who are caricatures in some way. Like most of them are over the top. Most of them are like very. I love Toni Collette in this. The way she speaks every time makes me laugh because it's such a good impersonation of like a pretentious Instagram for influencer. Like it just makes me laugh. And then there's Michael Shannon has a couple of really good moments. He plays the bigger brother,
Mhm.
the older brother in the family, and he has a great performance. But Daniel Craig is a special.
But I
I
think
love what he's doing.
I would just like to say one thing about
Yeah,
Daniel Craig in this, like in this performance, that
yeah,
I think, I can be wrong as well, but I think
yeah,
his character was kind of based on like detective, like I think Poirot,
yeah.
from
From the
Agatha
murder,
Christie's Murder
yeah,
of the
I got
Orient
that.
Express,
Yeah,
and this thing, Death on the Nile. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that was a very good inspiration, and that's the
Hmm.
reason I think LeBlanc, his character's name is. So um,
Benoit Blanc.
Benoit
Yeah,
Blanc, yeah, sorry,
yeah,
Matt's LeBlanc, but yeah, this is
yeah,
Benoit Blanc. So that's the reason it's
yeah.
a French name,
French.
and that's the like a
Yeah,
reference to
correction for to that character. I mean, but he speaks in a Southern American accent, which Chris Evans calls a KFC accent. Uh, but uh, but yeah, no, it's his
and even
performance
for
I
Chris
love.
Evans, it was a very local thing, because this film is a kind of, I think, short, or I think set in Boston, or I
Hmm.
think in Massachusetts. So he is actually a native of Massachusetts. So he was very
Oh,
pretty much excited to play this role. Like he's like
yeah,
he was homesick, and this kind of role
yeah,
he was excited to play.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's lovely, and I think who gets that's the other thing I think about this movie that's very charming almost. I know Marvel movies have big star casts, but this is again the good old-fashioned big star cast movie where it's like these are people playing people like they're playing people firstly, they're not playing like heroes, which is I think is a big difference. I don't want to like dump on Marvel anyways, but like but the point is more just that that it reminds you of like some that really grand old I hate to invoke Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, but like something like a Bollywood melodrama almost, where it's like all the big people are there, like a big cast is there, and
Like,
it made a star.
you can mention Love Actually also. You don't have to
Yeah,
mention
exactly.
Bollywood. You can mention
Yeah,
Love Actually
Love
also.
Actually. Yeah, Love Actually. But I think something like Love, yeah, yeah, or Salame Ishq. Just
Oh, mama, don't, no,
go
no,
off
not
that.
again,
Can't go
Bollywood,
off
not
that
again.
route. No, but
Yeah,
no, no.
but
But I think my point is that it also made a star out of Ana de Armas, which is fantastic because she's the heart of the film because
mm,
she's the one who's the good innocent person in the middle of this
whole mess.
craziness that's going on. Yeah, exactly. And I think she's really fantastic in this. She brings like that innocence, which is which is weird because I recently watched a movie in which she plays like a femme fatale from like a noir movie, and I was like, she's also got like good range, which is always good. But yeah, like my point was basically that she's the heart of the movie, and she
Mm.
does a lot of the emotional heavy lifting in the film. Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think of like other performances, if there's any other that you thought were like
I
really
thought Michael Shannon's was an exceptional. Michael Shannon and Don Johnson's performance were
Hmm.
exceptional, I think.
Yeah.
And like I haven't watched Don Johnson's much films, but I have seen Michael Shannon in some films. Like I think in Shape of Water and in
Hmm.
Nocturnal Animals as well. Like he can play a wide variety of roles, and this kind of a role was his second kind of a thing in Nice Out. He actually his this kind of role was his extension in The Shape of Water. He was kind of a, yeah, main villain in The
He's
Shape of Water.
scary. No, I think he does scary really well. I feel like he's
He's scary.
genuinely intimidating.
Like he's scary. He's natural, because I heard in an interview of Ryan
Yeah,
Johnson that talking that okay, the entire cast was just following his cues, but
yeah,
Michael Shannon was just on another level. He was just acting it out from his mind, and like he was just
got it.
doing what his mind was like, tells us that it was right, tells that it was right.
Yeah,
And like he was exceptional in that in this film. So I thought, okay, he
he's
is actually a
fantastic.
natural like actor.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, I've seen him in other very disturbing stuff, and he's very scary in those movies. So, these are like horror movies, which if people are interested, then it's called Bug. I don't know, this is a weird digression, but yeah, it's a great
No.
movie.
Mhm.
By William Friedkin, the guy who made The Exorcist.
The guy who made the French Connection. Wow.
Both of them, yes.
Absolutely.
And Sorcerer, if people are fans of Sorcerer, the remake of Ages of Fear or whatever. Anyways, back to Knives Out. Back to Knives Out. Anything other like specific you kind of enjoyed? Like, did you predict what would happen in the film, or
I
what was your
didn't.
experience of like unfolding the mystery? Yeah,
Seriously speaking, I didn't, because I thought, okay, who did it? Who done it? I don't know. But
yeah,
at the end, as like, it gave me Agatha Christie feelings, like the vibes of
hmm,
Agatha Christie novels. But at
yeah,
the end, that's the main reason, and that's the beauty of this film. Like, this film didn't give me like who done it. And like, I was
yeah,
pretty much shocked that
yeah,
Christopher Plummer's character was the one who killed himself, and that's
yeah,
the main reason I loved it. And even I loved
yeah,
that like, the film also had Christopher Plummer's mother as well, and that was a very
yeah.
funny
That was a very
little thing.
funny fairy
Exactly,
tale. Yeah,
it
yeah,
happened. And later on, I actually got to know in a TIFF Q&A that
yeah.
she's a much younger lady, and
Oh,
it like
really? Okay,
he said that it's all makeup, that nanny and
okay.
all those things, it's all makeup, like I think that was a pretty funny thing happened
Yeah,
in that interview as well. So I
yeah,
was excited to like rewatch this film as well. So
yeah.
let's see. So like, coming to the sequel right now, so like, since
I was about to say before we move on to that, the who done it angle of it, what you said, people said they reveal it very easily early on,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the strength of the film.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
think the film, I think by revealing it, it completely makes you forget about who done it, because you're then rooting for Anna de Armas's character to avoid getting caught. And then it returns to the who done it by the end. So you feel the shock and surprise that you won't otherwise feel. So I think that's actually a strength. I'm surprised people think that's like a weakness of the film. I really love the film for doing that. That's one of the few notes actually I've made
Hmm.
here, that
But
that it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, that only. Nothing else.
But
Go ahead.
what do you think about like the knives all over the place in this film? Like, because the film is called Knives Out, but there are pretty much everywhere we can see the knives and all those things over there.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that? And that's
I
the
mean,
like, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Like, there is a reason there, like, all those knives were put because like we all know that like
Yeah.
he tried to kill her. That's the reason. But
Yeah.
yeah, you
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, what do you think about it?
No, I think that kind of plays a part with how like the movie looks like that Cluedo board. And I think the knives being in like everywhere around kind of adds to the game feeling to the whole thing. Like it's like a elaborate like game, which is it is because like Harlan, Christopher Plummer's character, is playing a game, and so is the Ransom, the Captain America slash Chris Evans character, is also playing a game. So like it plays into the fact that there'll be artificial knives all around the place because they like doing all this weird wacky stuff without which has actually no consequences on their lives it because the knives are fake. But they are just like the only reactions they have is when the knives get taken away from them,
Hmm.
which means like they are put outside the house. Because the last shot of the film is lovely, because everyone in the family is outside the house, and the only person inside the house on the top of the floor that also is Anna de Armas's
Mhm.
character.
Who's an
And it's like a
outsider?
who is an outsider, so the outsider is inside and the inside is
Inside.
outside basically. And that's a great way to like encapsulate what the film is about also, I think. So like it's one of those yeah, again, it's a elaborate game which is so well constructed that the social commentary gets whatever is underneath all of it. But it doesn't matter if you don't find the
Hmm.
social commentary like profound again. Yeah,
absolutely. But
that's about it.
what do you think, like how the sequel will be? Like it, since it is also produced by Netflix, so like how would,
Is
like
that
how do
a
you?
is is that now a sign of worry for people that it's
Oh,
produced by Netflix?
oh no, but like it's sometimes, because we all know that like Netflix is kind of degrading day by day,
Yeah,
like because of its content. I
yeah.
don't know. Like obviously we are seeing it in Hollywood as well, and we are obviously seeing it in Bollywood here.
Hmm.
But like obviously, since just forget the Netflix part. Like if I tell you, like what do you think about the sequels as well? Like I think there are one or two sequels which are planned.
I mean, I like the sequel idea because it's not a direct sequel. It's like a mysteries with Benoit Blanc, like you said, Agatha Christie, right? And how the Poirot character goes on like different mysteries.
Hmm.
And like it's not like super connected with the
Hmm.
previous one.
Hmm.
So like none of the characters. So one story is closed, and then the next chapter will be open. So
Hmm.
I enjoy that. Like, but if they connect them, then is when it's like, then you're like stretching.
Hmm.
I think more than you should for a mystery film about a detective who's an English actor whose name is French and who speaks in a Southern American accent. So yes, you just need to like make sure it's as artificial, like looking wise, as Knives Out is. And yeah, then proceed. Like do more of this. Actually, I'll be happy if we have like 20 more of these than like the next slate of Marvel movies. And that's just because I think we've tired out of that phase of films, and this phase will hopefully be a better phase for us. But that will be a discussion for, I hope you don't have Marvel fans. But yes.
No, no, no.
Yes.
I personally was, I don't know, but like I like watching Marvel films. But let's see. Like I'm actually I have watched Spider-Man, so it's okay. Like I just don't take these all those things on my heart. But like I
Yep.
am personally really excited to like for the release of these films. I don't know
Hmm.
what like Netflix hasn't shared anything about the plot and all those things.
Yep.
But let's see how these films kind of pans out, because
Yep.
we are actually getting to see Daniel Craig do something beyond James Bond, because he is like kind of
Yeah.
uh, in the last 2 decades he has just given us like only James Bond films. So let's
He's
see
been
how
tied
these
down
things,
to that. Yeah.
because like apart from James Bond, this is the only film we have seen kind of like Daniel Craig not being James Bond, and
Yeah.
it was very cool to see that. But
Yep.
so and also it's a good thing, because now James Bond, like he is not playing James Bond like anymore. So we'll get to
Yep.
see some other
Yeah.
films, like other non James Bond films as well from
Yep.
Daniel Craig as well.
I mean, you never say never. You don't know. They might, spoilers for James Bond films, but they might find a way to uh, make him alive again. They always do somehow. I have no idea. Have you? I don't know if you've seen the Kingsman films. Those did that with Colin Firth's character, and I was just like,
I've seen the first
why?
film only, like it was way back in
Uh,
my like first year of college days. So,
yeah,
and it was in my classes. So, like, I don't
yeah,
remember that much, but yeah,
it's fine.
that,
The next sequels ruined the first one also, so it's fine. Like it's best not to watch
no,
it.
but it had
Yeah.
some great action sequences as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It does. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
like the first one a lot, but the second one ruined it. So, by bringing in one character back. But yeah, it's whatever. I'm just saying that to make more sequels and money, you never know that Daniel Craig might not go back to playing Bond again. I
Let's
have no idea,
hope
but
so
yeah,
he doesn't. So yeah,
hopefully.
but on this good note, Dhruv, I'm ending. I have to end this conversation. But
Yeah, yeah.
thank you so very much for coming to my podcast. And uh, so
Thank you.
so it's a funny thing, because this month, Sanjeet is also coming to my podcast. Like we have recorded First Man I
Yeah.
have recorded First Man with him, and Aryan is also coming. Like we also recorded Silence, and today we are recording this film Knives Out. So it's like a funny thing where all the
It's a
three
quid hangout moment. It's a Queen is Dead
Queen is
podcast.
Dead reunion, kind of a very like
We've raided you.
all three members of Queen
Yeah,
is Dead podcast are coming to my podcast to talk about
yeah,
some great things. So so that, and that's the main reason I wanted to call you in this, and then
yeah,
like Aryan also happened to be
yep,
in the podcast in this month's lineup.
yeah.
So I was quite excited to like just record this stuff. So thank you so
Yeah.
much, Dhruv.
Thank you so much for inviting me.